we are back once again with another episode of the number one rated business show. We thank y'all so much for joining us. We got a great show for you today.
We do. We talk about a lot of things like business, wealth, and riches.
Which is a very important topic because a lot of folks, I think folks are really starting to feel where we are now. Because the government's been telling us, now we're not in a recession and all this other type of stuff is not happening. But everybody is starting to feel the impact of having to pay higher prices at the grocery store, having to pay more for gas. All our expenses are starting to go up. Utility bills are rising right along with everything else. So even though maybe we're not yet in the recession itself, but that inflation is really starting to impact folks. Because I know I'm paying a lot more for groceries and stuff like that.
Well, you eating all that expensive stuff. I remember when a loaf of bread was only 10 cents.
You old. But no, seriously, me personally, it's not something I used to pay attention to. But now, having to do the grocery shopping and this type of stuff, even a gallon of milk is like $6.93.
It is.
So just imagine if you're trying to feed a family of 3, 4, 5 different people, they paying over $1,000 a month just in groceries alone.
You know the secret though? You take your cereal, you put some water in it. You don't know the difference, especially if you get that sugary cereal.
But today we're going to have a conversation on wealth, on building multiple streams of income, creating generational wealth, which has become such a big topic amongst folks already. Everybody now is starting to think way past their lifetime, thinking about how do I leave something for my kids, kids. And I think it's just a poignant time to have this discussion.
Yeah, you got to leave something for the kids. Stop being selfish. Buying yourself nice things, man, and then your kids going to struggle.
But, we are, especially in our community, we're in such a different time now because we're no longer in the period of us struggling so much. You're starting to see, multiple generations of college graduates, people having great jobs and this type of stuff. So I think now is that great time to start to really, really start looking at, all right, how do we build that generational wealth in our community as well?
Yeah, it is important, especially now that we have knowledge. And that's the difference. Because before, a lot of times we didn't have really knowledge because we modeled who we saw. Yeah. But now with the information out there, you've got the internet, you've got people that are sharing information, you've got summits, you've got places you can go to actually learn from people that know what they're talking about.
And today I have an expert in creating wealth and generational wealth. Joining us in studio, Dr. Paul Crum. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you for coming because I hope you're going to teach us something about making money.
I know what it is to go through a lot of money.
Now, if you will, just share with us a little bit of your background because I know you just have an expansive history of entrepreneurship, investing. Tell folks just a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I'd be glad to. And you're right, I have had a lot of experience, Kevin, because I've lived a long time and never been out of the business, and even at my age. But I started off as an entrepreneur myself and went through quite a learning curve. And then at some point, I moved to Atlanta because I thought that was the place that I could find my opportunities. And it was. I started off as here in the mobile home business and started that and franchised that. And that went well. But I decided that I wanted to be out of the retail business. I wanted to be where I could go find my clients. And that's why I got into the stock brokerage. Then I went into stocks, bonds, and insurance, and then we moved into the financial planning area, and I realized it needed also a structure. So a few of us put together a school of financial planning.
Wow.
And that grew to be large, even though I was just a small part, and became the first certified financial planner in the country. And that was many years ago, and today there are many of them, some 80 or 90,000, I understand. And from that place, I went into the investment banking field itself. Okay. And 3 of us, 4 partners, we put together an investment banking firm and started it, and we had, just like every entrepreneur, we had some ups and downs, but fortunately the trend line was good. So we went from starting off, and when I sold out, we had 1,200 financial planners in 37 states. Wow. And placed over $1 billion that year. the final year that I was in the business. So it's been a journey, but from that point, I went into helping companies go public or consulting with companies and helping them acquire capital. But my passion has always been, we live in the richest civilization that's ever existed. We have y'all said, more education, more information, more everything at hand, and yet we as a nation still have a large poverty part of our nation. We shouldn't have, but we do. And so that is part of the passion that I have. And at that point, I was in that business of consulting, had 6 clients that we were taking public. And God called me to go, and my next entrepreneurial venture was to a church or a ministry. Now think about this, Jeff and Kevin. I left the business of mobile home because I wanted to get out of the retail business. And God put me right back into it. Nothing is more retail than a church, if you think about it. And not only a church, but a boutique church where people had to come looking for a particular type of ministry that we have. So that's a thumbnail of the high points. I could spend a lot of time talking about the low points too, because I know what it is to go broke. I know what it is to not make it happen. But that's why we're so passionate about wealth. And wealth is right. Wealth is a state of mind to start with, but wealth is riches is what you can accumulate, but wealth is what you leave, and that's your inheritance, your legacy. And so that's why when you were talking about children and grandchildren, you're leaving them wealth, which is not just money, but also knowledge and character and integrity and how to take advantage of that. So I appreciate this opportunity to be here with you today and look forward to us getting into this.
Now, why do you think, because you just kind of hit on wealth being a mindset, why do you think the poverty mindset has been so ingrained in America? Because it's like poverty is the same, it's just the opposite. It's a mindset. And honestly, from what I found, coming from, a poor background and this type of thing, it's not really true. It's like there's no such thing as real poverty. It's just that mindset that you in thinking. And I understand how people can get caught up in, I need this right now, and you lose sight of the big vision and this type of thing. But why do you think that's just such a big thing in America?
Well, there are a lot of reasons, and one reason is people don't have a vision. They don't have an awareness of where they want to go. There's a lot of entitlement, and part of that entitlement is in the fact that if I work hard, things will come to me. Well, if you don't work smart, that doesn't work that way.
That's true.
You have to know the principles. But a lot of it is instant. Like you said, I want it now and I want it to happen. And if a person has a plan and where they want to go, then they're able to have a desired results in mind, and that is their wealth. What do I want to leave? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it using my gifts? Am I passionate about it? And unfortunately, a lot of people have good intentions. They just don't have direction, and that's kind of what this wealth conference is about, is to help give direction to go with their intentions.
And I love the point that you made about wealth and riches being different.
Yeah.
A lot of us look at wealth and riches as the same thing. As wealth is the big house, the big cars, but and the money, the bank account. But you touched on the fact that wealth is something that's passed on, but it's more than just money, and we confuse the two in a lot of cases.
We do, and I have to speak a little biblically because Christ did talk about don't acquire riches. And he's not talking about assets. Now, that's like you're talking about, assets can be a good thing. We know that assets or money is amoral. It's what you do with it, what's your intention, and that's the wealth. Why am I doing this? And that's why people, if you'll notice, as they become billionaires, they suddenly, what am I going to do with this wealth? What am I, or riches, as we call it? I want to turn it into wealth. So they set up foundations. They began to think in terms of what am I leaving and what's it going to do beyond me? And I think that's the wealth part. How is it impactful? What's it going to make a difference? I think it's admirable to be able to accumulate, if you have good strategy, to accumulate wealth. You can accumulate wealth, but and riches are the attitude. You're right. Riches is something I do for me.
Wow.
It's out of my own ego, out of my own desire. Wealth is something I want to make a difference and use to make an impact.
Now, do you see, like you were talking about these billionaires and, they give back and they have these good intentions. Have you seen in your journey that being something that they knew before they had the actual accumulated assets and riches? Or is it something that they gained as they became wealthier and now that they have abundance, they're giving back?
It's a good question. And I would say that probably the latter, in that they've accumulated. What difference is it going to make? Am I going to leave a bunch of rich, spoiled kids? Am I going to make a difference? I mean, what's going to be the results of my hard work and my effort? So I think it comes as a conviction. I think some of it comes even as a guilt, in the fact that how can I do this and others can't? So I want to share it, and that's why usually most people with wealth set up foundations like Bill Gates and and people like that. They want to leave money that will continue to go beyond themselves.
Now that leads me to another question. This day and age, is it still possible, even with all this going on? We talked about the recession, rising interest rates, and all these other type of things. Is it still possible for someone right now to pick up and start to build wealth for themselves and the next generation?
Good question, Kevin, and I appreciate you asking that. I think that this is one of the things that we know is that people are so driven by emotions, and this goes back to not understanding opportunities when they occur. There's probably as much opportunity right now as there ever has been in an inflationary environment. We all know that most millionaires and billionaires make most of their wealth during downtimes.
Okay.
Because they've already anticipated and they've already got a plan, and they know that they can't hit the bottom, but they know they can hit close to the bottom. And if it's real estate, and real estate became a big investment for Wall Street.
Oh yeah.
Coming out of the last recession, because they saw, wow, we can see when it comes back that there's a created demand. And now the largest owners of single family homes in America is Wall Street.
Wow.
So, they see that. So they bought up when it was down. The stock market is the same way. I can't tell you when it's going to bottom, but I can say that if you go and invest, now's the time to invest. Keep in mind that if an economy stayed flat all the time, there'd be no opportunities.
That's true.
It has to go up and down. And the key is we know it's going to go up, we know it's going to go down, so try to make an investment when it's down or when the window is open for opportunity. So just to answer your question, I think if you want to be an astute investor, it's a great time.
Wow.
I think it goes to your point of vision.
Yes.
You have that vision and you say, okay, here's my vision and here's my opportunity.
Yeah.
Versus I'm just winging it. I'm just going with
I'm basing on it because it feels right.
Yeah.
But the main reason that people fail in business and in investments is their lack of planning. They do it usually in a response to their sense of things.
Okay.
And you and I both know that when you're in a profession, you have to have a sense of things. There's the gut feeling, as we call it. You have to have that, but you also have to be able to have the discipline and have the planning in mind to go with the vision. The vision without the planning is like, not having faith, or faith is putting action into what you hope is. So
Okay.
you have to have a plan to do it. And that's the main reason most people fail, and that's the reason we have poverty.
Now, how does one person in a situation or in a poverty mindset, how do you start to begin that change and start to enact a lot of these principles and start to move towards more of building wealth and having that wealth mindset versus that mindset of lack and just it's no opportunities in that poor mindset that we see so much?
Well, again, a good question. I've often thought of it this way. If I went to a third world country, let's say, and what would I do to start establishing wealth.
Okay.
And the first thing I do, and I still think is what people in poverty need, is hope. They really need to know that there is hope. And if you can get that part, then you're looking at what would be the main resourcing to start that movement towards wealth. Like in third world countries, many drilling a well starts the whole thing. They have hope, but now they got fresh water. Well, now fresh water starts planting farms, and irrigating. And
Okay.
from that, you start retail business. So I think the first thing I would do with poverty, and then following it, of course, is education. You've got to get people to not just want it, but to know not only why they want it, but how do I get it? And do it right, long term. Most people think short term.
Oh yeah.
We've got to teach people to think longer term. That's where the discipline comes in.
Yeah. And I think it's very important that you stated, from a third world country point of view, to have that hope and to have some sort of mark to shoot for, that vision that you can shoot for. Because a lot of times I think, like you said, you get so much in your emotions, you don't see it. And so you discount people that do have vision and say, well, you have it because you have a lot of things. You've acquired this. You hit this mark in your life, and that's why you are happy and successful and wealthy and so forth, versus you had this type of mindset. You had a plan, you followed that, and now you have the results of that. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the challenge because, I know when you're trying to dream, it's easy to dream when you have everything that you dreamed for, or dreamed of, versus dreaming it and then it manifesting from that.
Absolutely. A lot of people resent people with money, and a lot of people believe they got it dishonestly.
Yeah, Kevin resents me all the time. It's like I don't.
If you had some money, maybe I would resent you.
But rather than trying to learn how they got it,
yeah,
or what principles they applied, they start just resenting him. Well, you're lucky. You just had somebody.
He was born with a silver spoon.
Yeah, you had all that education, all that privilege, but it still gets down to hard work, discipline. The greatest success factor, period, are the habits you form. Mm-hmm. Habits are the most important thing that you can establish if you want to be successful. And it starts off with people, like we talk about people investing. Start investing. Start. If it's small, start. Get the discipline of building a little bit, and that little bit becomes more, and then that becomes the compounding effect, which is miraculous in itself, how much compounding interest works. But that's the main thing. The habits of discipline go with it. People want it, they want it now.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the microwave theory with finances. I want to do it. I want to do it now.
But I love you said discipline, because I can even remember when I first started investing. I was scared to put my first $100 into the market, and now I can make investments of $10,000 at a time because I've done it so much, and I built that discipline and knowing that, okay, it's gonna dip a little bit, we all right, and those emotions don't drive me as crazy as they used to. And then now, especially so easy. You can invest through Cash App, Robinhood. You don't have all the fees that you have with TD Ameritrade and a lot of the other E-Trade platforms and stuff. So it makes no sense whatsoever for you not to be in the game somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I do want to ask you is, what's something good to invest in this period of time that we're going through right now? Not Jeff Bezos.
Me.
But what is something that is a good way? Because when I first started investing, the best advice I was given was invest in what you know. Yeah. He said, you're using Tide, you're using these products, you've seen them your entire life, you know that they safe bets and this type of stuff. But when you start to go into periods like this, even Apple's taking hits, your major tech stocks and this type of stuff are taking hits. What strategy should somebody be using to start investing?
Well, good question. I think it would depend, as you say, start. If they don't have a plan and don't know it, obviously to start with the discipline of putting aside a small amount of money, what they can afford, and then doing it consistently. Now you have to go to the different funds. There are many kinds of funds, and they're well managed. It's interesting because I was the lady that happens to cut my hair, I got into this conversation with her, and she's always asking me, I'm sorry, let me catch it. How do you invest? And I said, well, you can certainly afford $100 a month. He said, well, I can. I said, yeah. Now, one thing is, I'm going to give you the name of an investment advisor. Matter of fact, he'll be at the summit. He's he managed funds at the Wall Street level. Then he really wanted to help people.
Okay.
So he formed his own firm, and now that's how he helped. But anyway, I said, what a good opportunity. While the market's going down, invest continuously, because when it goes up, you'll carry up more shares with you. And, it's like anything's on sale, such as you go to the store, you're going to buy what's on sale. And so stock market's on sale too. So get in and consistently doing it. Now, as you grow, you have the opportunity to expand that investment in something like real estate.
Okay.
Real estate's investment is inflation hedge. There's no question. It goes up. The problem is it goes up and people have to move out. But if you're the owner and you're ready for it, now people are raising rents. It's
Yes, they
it's
are.
The
difficult.
rental market's about
It's
to be
very
huge
difficult.
with 6%.
Yeah,
interest rates
6.2 and
Yeah.
going up. Yes.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to do so because there's just supply and demand.
Yeah.
There's just not enough housing units, and especially for affordable housing, there's just
Yeah.
not enough. So people charge more.
Now let's talk about this Wealth Builder Summit that we got coming up, because
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. You got some just huge topics to cover in this thing, as well as some great speakers. Robert Watkins, which is I think everybody's starting to know him now. He's really been blowing up here lately over the last couple of years.
And Eric's on it.
Eric, you know him. You threw me off for them, but let's talk about some of the speakers. I know Don Wells has managed, over $1 billion in investments and this type of thing.
Yeah.
He's going to be speaking on wealth management, correct?
Yes, he will. He had, when he left the industry and to retire, actually retired at like 52 years old.
Okay.
And they were managing $2.1 billion worth of other people's money.
Wow.
And so they were very successful, and he participated, and he became very successful. But that's not his desire now. He will be one of the speakers, and he has a website that you go, and it says, "Help me invest." And he doesn't charge people anything to give them 30 minutes of advice on here's what I got, here's where I am, what do I do with it? And he will spend 30 minutes with you.
Wow.
At his expense, not theirs, and give you advice, and he knows how to do it. Let me make a comment, if I can, Kevin, about this summit and the purpose behind it. All of these that are participated started small, and they've all were successful in building their particular investment area, their space, and they built it successfully. But the point was, this is not academia. This is not somebody teaching from some university, which is nothing wrong with that. But for people who want to get there, really want to know, these people have done it, and they'll give you the nuggets and the strategies that they use and what to avoid. If we know what to avoid, that'll save the pain right there, as well as what to do. So that is, and all of them, it's diversified, because everybody in this environmental time that we are of entrepreneurship. Everybody wants to talk about entrepreneurship. Years ago, when I was in college, they didn't even have such a subject. Today they teach it, and so now everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. 70% of the population in the United States wants a side hustle. They want to be a solopreneur, and so problem is, where? How? What do I do? Where do I go? There's so many variations. Airbnb, is that for me? Does that work? How about the stock market? How about real estate? How about franchising? People don't know. Andy Banker will be there, and Andy started off as he was in a corporation. He started off as buying a franchise as a side hustle or as a solopreneur. And then he left that after he had 60 different franchises.
Wow.
Sold them off, but started with one and sold them all off. Now, he is there to help people find the right franchise. People don't realize when you think of franchise, they think of, Chick-fil-A or something like that, understandably. But they have franchises as low as $100,000 that are successful franchises that allow somebody to, and you say, well, I don't have 100,000. Well, you got some friends.
But no, I love that you said it because I went to college as well, and college is great if you want to get a job. But if you want to make money, you got to find somebody that's making money and get them to teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's so much stuff. College teaches you a lot of theory. They teach you a lot of the books and this type of stuff. But they do not have the experience. Most professionals are not people that actually went out there and did it.
Yeah.
So they don't have that experience of saying, hey, don't do this, because if you do this, this is the result you're going to get. This is how you meet the right people and do the right things. And I love that you got Dr. Robert Watkins talking about networking and building relationships for the purpose of investing, because I think that's powerful. Because a lot of times people just try to get around people and they don't really understand the purpose of the relationship they're trying to get into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he will certainly be a good one. He started off himself in poverty as an orphan, and fortunately he was able to bring together. Just as a matter of a sidebar, in the last month he found his siblings that he didn't even know they existed.
Wow.
And just in the last month he has some 3 siblings that he didn't know. So my point is, you can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
You can use it as a motivation, like he did. It inspired him to aspire to be, to do something.
Yeah.
Now his goal is legacy.
Why do you think it seems like people that come from the most time worst backgrounds, they had a hard childhood. You see people coming from other countries, immigrants and things like that. They seem to be such more driven people, and they get out there and they do so much more.
Because they're hungry.
Yeah.
It's because they're hungry.
Yeah. Hey,
hungry.
Survive.
Yeah.
Fight or
Because
flight.
I think a lot of that education, it just teaches you what to be afraid of. And then that terrifies people of, what if this happens? What if this happens? You get all the ifs.
Yeah.
Instead of just, this is my dream, this is my goal, this is what I want to do, and go do it.
Well, you gotta have a dream too. Going back to that vision, you gotta have a dream. If you're sitting listening to people tell you what you should be doing, what you should be thinking, you don't have your own dream. You're just following the model, and so you're like, I don't even like. I mean, a lot of people go to college, and they do their 3, 4, 6 years of college, some 8, to find out they don't even like what they went to college for. And then they get out and they're like, well, I'm going to get this job because I didn't put so much money into it. I might as well. Plus, everybody else says I should, and I put so much time, but I don't even like this. And I think that's the challenge, is having the dream, having that vision to say, this is the direction I want to go. Let me educate myself to that. And education doesn't have to be, with a university or college.
Wow. That was actually insightful, Joe.
Well, every now and again, every now and again.
Now, some of the other things that you guys are also going to be covering, some of the newer technologies and some of the new investments that people are talking about. I see you got Oz Hillman. He's going to be talking about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, what a good time to talk about cryptocurrency.
Yes. It's been up and down.
I know. Have you seen Bitcoin lately?
Yeah, man.
Well, how we go from
60 to
60,000 to 19? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
been
good time.
crazy.
Is it a good time to run from it or get in it?
Get in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I look at it as it's on sale.
Well, it's on sale, and where do you go? Cryptocurrency is an absolute place with a lot of pitfalls in it. There's no question. There's a lot of sham, a lot of fraud,
Oh, yeah.
But again, that's part of what we want to do. Where do you go, as well as what do you do? Who do I trust? Most people would love to have a mentor in their life that really knows something. And the mentors are there if they see, like you were saying, that the passion is there to get out of where I am. A lot of people in poverty want to get out.
Oh, yeah.
Their drive is, I just don't want to be here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do whatever it takes, if I have to build 3 jobs or 2 jobs or whatever I have to do to get beyond it.
Yeah.
But this is I've seen a lot of these wealth builders, like summits and seminars and stuff like that. And a lot of times you just get a bunch of famous people to come in and they, tell a few stories and
Pitch
stuff
it.
like that. But it's like with this one, it's so well thought out because you even got somebody to talk about risk assessment and how to analyze your risk and this type of stuff, because that's one of the biggest things that people get hung up on. I might lose this $1,000, instead of, hey, I can make $10,000 off this one investment. So I see you got Tony Brown. He's going to be talking about risk assessment. And you also got Mike Ross. He's going to be talking about the stock market, how to manage that portfolio, because you can't just invest in McDonald's, Jeff. You got to have multiple things.
You got to invest where you go.
That's right. And again, what is it you want to do?
Yeah, they need to pay me back for all them fries I done bought.
Yeah, you may not want an Ace Hardware. That may be the last thing you want to do is count nuts and bolts.
Yes.
Now, you also got Eric Etheridge. He's going to be talking about
Time you
property.
gave Eric his props.
Do you know him? Is that your guy?
Don't worry about who I know.
You investing in real estate on the side, ain't tell him?
Don't worry about what I
It's supposed to
do.
be partners, Joe.
Don't worry about what I do.
Anyway.
See, Doctor, tell him your
ahead.
business is your business. My business is my business.
Oh.
Talk about Eric.
Now, what's the difference between, I see that Eric's going to be talking about property investment, but you also got Darren Collins. He's talking about the investment funds.
Yeah.
Kind of differentiate that for us a little bit.
Eric Etheridge is a very well-respected appraiser.
Okay.
And out of that profession, he has bought and sold homes.
Okay.
He is what you call flipping houses, renting houses. So he will tell you how to, if you want to buy individual real estate,
Okay.
how to buy a house, how to buy a commercial, whatever it is you want to do, and how to either build it, sustain it, but where's the best location? Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's the best. And, and even what may seem high, investment institutions only invest in Class A properties. They don't look beyond that because they don't want problems. They just want to stay rented up and fully. But that's the difference. Now, Darren Collins has started out with, again, buying houses, flipping houses, and he moved over into now where he brings money together and syndicates it and puts it together into funds. He just moved into this area. And again, his motivation is to get people who have not been able to afford to invest to start with a fund. Invest $1,000 instead of $50,000. There's used to be, not so much now, buying with nothing down and no money. That's very rare, very rare.
Oh, yeah. Especially in this
without,
day and
and
age.
certainly without risk. You got to take a lot of risk. So that explained the difference between them. One's individual, one collectively with other people.
Okay. No, I like that. I don't have to go listen now.
Yeah.
It's about getting around the right people, man.
No, it seriously is.
Yeah, association. Educate yourself.
Now, I see also you're going to be covering topics like franchising with Andrew Banker. Banker, I'm sorry. Tell us a little bit about franchising because, like you said, it's not just the McDonald's of this world and the Chick-fil-A's that you can go buy franchises in. And I think people don't realize it's so many different investment opportunities around franchising.
Yeah.
You're so right. The franchises we know are the ones we see. But there are a lot of franchises that you don't see because they're not retail. They franchise they're not just restaurants and things. Different franchises oftentimes have a whole market that you don't see. And that Batteries Plus, you see that advertised, but their big market is into trucks and fleets and to generators and companies that use big batteries, huge batteries. So that may be where you may see it where it fit for you if you go in and say, I really don't want to sit in a little store all day. That's just not my thing. But I really would like to call on big companies and sell. For example, a lot of franchises, thousands of them out there. The key is which one works for me. And that's what Andy's going to give you guidelines about. And he's been successful in it. But I want to make a point that you made. These people, as far as being known publicly, like we're talking about corporate executives and people like that, that's our biggest challenge in this is for people look for names that they identify. We look for experience and success. And
Wow.
like I say, all these people are successful but they're not public figures, as we know.
And I love that. That's so important because a lot of times you look at the figurehead of it and you don't look at the practitioners, the ones behind the scene actually doing the work.
Oh, yeah.
And they know really the hiccups and the triumphs, where the person that may be in front of the camera, they know what to say.
Yeah.
And so, they do their job. They're the talent. They do their job. But when it comes to you asking them a question about real estate, well, I was landlord and, my tenant broke the toilet. What should I do? Yeah, I sell a course. I don't know. I've never had a tenant, but the person that's actually your property manager is like, look, this is what you need to do. Did you have this clause? I had that happen to me though once, man. I had a tenant break a toilet. How do you break a toilet off the base? I'm like, what were you jumping up and down on the toilet?
Yeah.
But no, it's so true of what you're saying, because a lot of these seminars you go to, you just getting salesmen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's like I went to a lot of those in the beginning, not knowing the right places to go and the right people to listen to. But actually being able to hear from people that do this and have actually done it, and they've done it from where you are sitting too. I've done this from zero and been able to build myself. I think that's the most invaluable thing in the world.
And they want to give you this. This is in their heart, to see people grow. They want to see, they quite frankly want to see the church rise up and be successful, if you will.
Yeah.
Now you're also going to be covering Airbnbs, which I love that, because that's the young generation there. That's the new real estate investing for a lot of young folks. Because you see a lot of folks flipping their own apartments and this type of stuff, subletting. We used to call it subletting.
Yeah,
Airbnb.
Now it's Airbnb.
So Randy Wells is going to be talking about the keys to success in Airbnb. Why is that such an important topic for a seminar like this?
Well, there's a lot of interest in it, like you said, and Randy was one that started off, and he still is an engineer in a corporation. But like you also said, it may have been you, Jeff, that talked about the fact that even though we may work successfully in a corporation, I want to do my own thing. I just have either that desire or want to create something for children or something, or your legacy, whatever you want to call it. Well, that's what he did, and he started and he added 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and he continued to grow it up, and he still works with a large major corporation. But he's getting ready, I think, to go forward. Now, he will tell you what he learned.
Okay.
That wasn't in the book.
Most time it's not.
Most of the time it's not.
And that's changed a lot over the last 5 years. People got into it and they found that, it wasn't as profitable or it wasn't as safe. But a lot of that he can tell you the nuts and bolts. And believe me, if you can avoid those things, if somebody will tell you what to avoid, again,
that's just as important as what to do.
I tell people that stuff all the time. That's why we so good at marketing, because it's simple fact. I know it's in the book, but I'm gonna tell you what's worked, because we've done this with businesses, and we've more importantly failed doing some of that stuff. So we know what's gonna work, what's the impact to it, and when you can sit down with people like that, I'm telling you, the information that you get is invaluable.
A mentor told me something that was very impactful. He said, if you have somebody that's telling you what to do that's never failed, run. He's like, just be transparent. If they fail several times, then they can tell you from true life experiences what to do and what not to do. But if you got somebody like, hey, everything I've done worked.
Run. Now, lastly, you got John and Don White. They're going to be talking about strategic planning, creating a plan for your success, which I think is very important. That hits back on where we started the conversation from, is having that plan. So this is really a complete, wealth builder strategy that you can come in just from zero and get started and get all the way to the finish line, huh? It
is, and the Whites are very people oriented. She has her PhD and they're both very educated, but their heart is to really help people. And so what they do, they're being the host. We have, I know at the ministry, we have a marketplace division, and they head that up. And what they do is help mentor these people. Once you've made a directional choice, they will help you they will make through contacts. They come together and connect you with people who can give you answers, and it's as a ministry to them. So they maintain the ongoing opportunities to keep learning.
Now let's talk a little bit about the experience for people that's going to come out to this event. It's a 2-day event, right?
Right.
And tell us just a little bit about what we should expect when we get there.
Well, as one of the things is all of the speakers will be not only speaking or presenting, but they'll be available. We've made it aware where if you really have an interest in one of these, let's say franchising, then Andy Banker will be there to talk to you about it. So that's one thing. It's not it won't be a large convention. There will be approximately 100 people there attending. You've got a wide diversity. So we set it up so that people don't get just one subject. You get a flavor of all of the different diversified opportunities, and then you kind of decide where you want to dig in a little deeper. Okay. And that was the intent, so that it wasn't all superficial, but and if I'm not interested in real estate, I don't want to sit there and listen to it all day. You know, I mean, that's just not what I want. But I can listen to it for 30, 45 minutes. Now, if I want to, I can go get deeper into real estate. What kind of real estate? How do I get started? And then you say, well, where is, I think I want to do this. Where's the financing? I want to start my own business. Well, that's where Robert comes in, and he will help you get the funding. They fund business. They have connections. That was the business I was in for 25 years, was funding businesses, investments. So we've got knowledge. I can tell you what to do to get the money. I'm not in the business anymore, but I know what venture capital people look for and investors and what kind of investor you need. And listen, there's so many more ways to do it today than there used to be because of the internet. That's changed everything we know.
That access, that's worth the ticket price alone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen Grant Cardone charge $10,000 to sit here at his table for lunch.
Yeah.
But just to be around that person, be able to ask your own questions to him, having that access to that speaker is like I say, it becomes invaluable.
Yeah, they're not selling you anything. They just want to help you.
Yeah.
Now I see that you already instituted a discount, so you can get tickets as low as $89 to come. Even you can come, Jeff.
Poverty is a mindset, and you're not going to deflect your poverty mindset on me.
Now you got a couple different packages here. I see that people can join this thing virtually, so you can attend from the comfort of your own home, or you come out to the event and actually get a chance to be in the same room with a lot of these people. And that's a lot of times people discount the power of actually being in the room versus that virtual. I hate virtual. I gotta be honest, but the power of being in that room to sit next to like-minded individuals that's learning the same thing that you're learning, that in itself is a value. Because you never know, you might meet the right person there, and now you got your partner, or you got somebody that you can partner up with and start doing some of the stuff that you're sitting there learning together.
And like Dr. Watkins will speak about networking.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how do you network with the right people? A lot of people know how to network, but they're not very strategic with it.
Yeah.
They just out there networking. So that's exactly right, Kevin. It is a time for people to be able to connect. People want a connection, not just for the moment, but the ongoing. But one of the things that when you are with somebody like that, they can ask you some questions. Not only you asking them, but they can ask you some pertinent questions that will help you understand more clearly who you are, because they're used to that.
Wow. Now, there's also an upgraded VIP ticket as well.
Yep.
So what does the VIP get you?
Well, it gets you, of course, we say here, good seats, and that will be, and a little more time. There will be some more personal time with the particular person that you want to be with. That is the old green room type of setting where it gives you that opportunity. You'll get some books that will be helpful to you, and so it just has those kinds of privileges. There will be luncheon on the first day, and there'll always be snacks and coffee and keep everybody. And the reason we're providing the lunch is the fact that we want people not have to go look for it. The place that we're having it at the Forsyth County Conference Center is very well equipped, and that's why we're trying to put it in a site where people will know it's in business environment, not a church environment, but a business environment.
Now let's once again. This is October 5th and 6th.
Yes.
What time are we gonna be getting started?
We're going to start at 9 o'clock, and like most business conferences, we'll end at 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't be night sessions, and of course, we hope people get together at night with some of these speakers if they really are interested in connecting with them, and that'll be availability.
And if people want to get tickets, or if people want to go ahead and register right now, because I know people are starting to get excited.
Yeah.
If people want to register, they can go to thewbs.org.
Yeah, the belt. Yeah, you're right. Let me be sure I put the initials and not the name, because they'll go for the name. Yeah, the THE. Yeah, well, WB Summit, WBS.org.
The WBS.org. I promise you, I'll definitely be in attendance. You going, Jeff?
I'm gonna go. All
Yeah,
right.
if you
I'm
can't
gonna learn
come to
something.
both days, come to one day and get the recordings for later.
Now, one thing that you did mention was the church.
Yeah.
And this day and age, you're starting to see a lot more churches start to move into marketplace ministry. They're starting to realize that God needs to be a part of your finances and that type
Yeah.
of thing. Why is it that the Life Center, or why is it you take such an interest in doing something like a Wealth Builder Summit?
Well, thank you for asking me, because that's part of my passion, is the fact that I came out of helping wealthy people gain more wealth. And part of the things that drove me out to get out, sell out, was the fact that, what have you done for me today? That greed factor, and when you've got people that you just finally, I guess like a football team, it's winning. What are you going to win the next game, So the part was, when we got into the church, started with a ministry training people, and I began to see people coming into our church that were emerging entrepreneurs. And I thought, well, what do we do with it? Now the church, the way we view it, is it's not segmented. It's not just church. We believe that biblically, church covers your business, your family, your relationships, your every part of your life, your social part and your business part. So if we can take the principles that are embedded and ingrained in the Bible and extract them so that we can teach them and how to apply them, they're going to work. And so I began to train these entrepreneurs on how to be business people. And it's interesting, because 25 of them are coming together in a week to talk about their successes, because they're all over the world creating businesses and things, some of them quite successfully. But that's why I said, okay, these are people that are to finance, if you will, the growth of the kingdom of God. That's the growth of the church. Takes money.
Oh, yeah.
And and I tell people all the time, there are three kinds of people if you want to start a church. Prayers, somebody can pray. Payers, that's people that God raised them up to make money to pay the church. And as long as they do that, they'll prosper. And then the third is what we call sayers, which are people that can prophesy what direction people are going in. But it takes payers. God knew that. You can go back and study it. He picked people up and made them payers.
Wow. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be right back with final thoughts. And we are back. It has been a great episode.
Yeah, man. Learned a lot.
Really.
I always learn, Kevin.
I know you always learn from me. It's cool, though. But we definitely want to get final thoughts. And just, what's your final thoughts for today, Joe?
My final thoughts is, I got a cryptocurrency coming out. You need to invest. I got a franchise coming out. You need to invest. Dr. Crumb's going to be my advisor. He's going to be on my board. Yes.
Dr. Crum, your final thoughts for today.
Well, I appreciate it, being here and having this opportunity. But, we want you to know how to use the gift God's given you. Everybody has a gift. And if they can find that gift, and part of that gift is being successful. And so we want to help you find a handle. Everybody needs a handle, you got to have a tool. And so we help you find the right tools and the right handle for you to do that. And we brought in what I consider very capable, qualified people to teach what it is that they do. And if it appeals to you, you think that's your gift, then pursue it. Whether it's, like I say, a side hustle, or whether you're a solopreneur, whether it's an extended hobby, you make that choice. But it might grow up and be a big business for you, you know. So we won't know, but we're going to have, by the way, a boot camp on the 27th. That's Tuesday.
Okay.
It will be a virtual webinar.
Okay.
And you can get it on the website. on the YouTube.
Okay.
And you'll be able to get it also in other areas of social media that are available. But what my point is, we will have an exposure of these gifted people. We'll be talking, and you can get a flavor of who they are, find out a little bit about why you should come and listen to them and hear their heart. And I want to encourage people now. We do want to see you at the conference itself, or the summit. Mm-hmm. We really would love to meet you personally and get to know you and to, encourage you all that we can.
And once again, that is October 5th and 6th, 2022. And we're getting started at what, 8:30?
Yeah, I'd need to be there at 8:30, yes. We'll start officially at 9 o'clock, but we will have some snacks and things for people to be ready.
You got to make sure you say the snacks part.
Yeah.
We're going to have snacks and breakfast because Kevin will show up at like 10 o'clock, 10:30 and be like, I overslept. But when you said snacks, he'd be like,
a little something to keep you going.
Yeah,
I don't know what it might be, but it'll be good.
So tickets are on sale now, so people can register right here at thewbs.org.
That's right.
And tickets starting at as low as $89.
Exactly.
So it's a low entry level. Anybody can get in, and I promise you, the investment that small investment, what you can make from it, I'm telling you, it's tremendous.
Tremendous.
So thank you so much for joining us today. It has been another awesome episode of the Number One Rated Business Show. We got the workshop, the boot camp coming up September 27th. You'll be able to get that on Facebook. You'll be able to get it on YouTube. And what we'll do is we'll put in the links in the description of the video so everybody can get a chance to join onto either the free boot camp and definitely get registered to be a part of the Wealth Builder Summit.
And it's starting at 8:30. If you can be at your job on time, you can start your career and your business on time.
Very good. Very good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it has been another great episode of the Number One Rated Business Show. We out.
We out, man. Oh, yeah, you got to give him the handle. Number One Rated Business Show on social media.
Oh, yeah.
And then, he always going to tell you where he's at.
Well, y'all can follow me at I am KC Pride on Instagram.
And you can follow me at Mr. Marketology on everything.
And where can people get more information online for the Life Center? Yeah,
the Life Center, they go on the website for it. Google it up or go on the website, Life Center in Atlanta.org.
All right. So
LifeCenter.org.
So, and then also they can get information about the Wealth Builder Summit there as well.
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
And I would like to apologize to Eric because KC didn't want to let him shine.
We're going to have Eric on. That's what we're going to do.
I was just trying to keep you on point.
I didn't know you knew Eric.
It's not about
Let
who I know.
these folks go home.
It's not about who I know.
We are out.